I'm not a rapper, I'm an artist. I'm a businessman, creator, businessman, family man.
Okay.
Real friend.
Real friend.
Before YG was going loco and before he had a big bank, he had a question. He was wondering, why are people always hating? And who do you really love? Back in the early days, YG just wanted to party with some bottle service, but today, he's got a lot of power in the game. Before YG would be investigated by the Secret Service because of the lyrics on his song F Donald Trump, before he would make hits with Ty Dolla $ign, 2 Chainz, A$AP Rocky, 21 Savage, Lil Wayne, DJ Mustard, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick, Drake, and basically everyone else in the industry, he's a pretty well-liked guy. And before YG would have more than 3 million subscribers on YouTube, more than 3 million followers on Twitter, and close to 6 million on Instagram at the time of this recording, YG has lived a crazy life. And while it's been well documented through his autobiographical albums, there are certain parts of his story that you need to hear about. He survived getting shot multiple times, going to jail, having label troubles, and basically everything else you can imagine. But through everything, YG persevered. In an interview, he said, "It took me some years to be in this situation. It took a lot of work. It ain't no overnight process." But he's made it through to tell his story in an honest and entertaining way that's led him to selling millions of records and becoming undoubtedly one of the hottest names in rap over the past decade. This is the story of YG. What's going on, good people in the comment section? My name is Jeremy Hecht. I hope you're having one heck of a day, and welcome back to Before They Were Famous, the show where we document the stories of how your favorite artists made their dreams a reality in hopes to inspire you and show you that you can do the same. All right, now for those of you already commenting, where's Michael and who is this dweeb? First of all, nobody says dweeb in 2019, okay? Second of all, welcome. If you're new here, I'm the LA host for the channel, bringing you weekly content, and for those of you who know, you know. Shout out to everyone watching after work, at work, after school, before school, the toilet gang, and anybody watching in Louisiana today, just because. I've covered other artists for this channel like DaBaby and Mozzie, so be sure to check those out after you finish watching this one, and let us know in the comment section down below who we should cover next for you. I'll try to reply to as many people as I can within the first hour or so of this dropping. Before we start, I've got a trivia question for all of you die-hard YG fans that we'll answer at the end of the video. What was YG's original online screen name? Alright, stick around for that. Let's get into the show.
Before they're famous.
Before they were famous about.
That was a pretty good video.
I like this guy.
Look, Freddie, you did a great job.
Michael is never wrong.
So damn, that was cool.
How did he know that? Whoa!
YG was born Keenon Daequan Ray Jackson on March 9th, 1990 in Compton, California, but out of respect to YG, I'll call it Bompton for now, don't worry. Speaking of gang life though, YG was surrounded from it at a young age, and he was drawn into the lifestyle, joining the Bloods at around the age of 16. Fitting that his rap name stands for Young Gangster. That's also around the same time that his father went to jail for tax fraud. Although YG was involved in the streets already, his father would try and get him on the right path. But when his dad went away, YG says there was nothing holding him back from going all out in that lifestyle. Before that, as a kid, YG was a big fan of Bugs Bunny and loved video games, including Madden, Halo, and Crash Bandicoot, an all-time classic. YG attended a few different high schools, including Paramount and Mayfair High, but he never graduated from any of them. While in school, he was a class clown who would always draw on the desks. I actually had to go to the principal's office one time for drawing Pokemon characters on my desk in elementary school. They were just great canvases, so I feel you, YG. For money, besides his street life, YG worked at a burger place called Fuddruckers for a month.
But then they fired me for sagging. Then I worked at a warehouse, loading trucks and unloading trucks. I quit that shit. Feel me? Because that was too much.
But his main income at the time came from breaking into houses. His interest in music grew alongside his street involvement though, and in 2008, YG met DJ Mustard, who later became his DJ. This was before Mustard was even making any beats, but the two became close friends.
My management at the time and Big B linked me up with Ty Dolla $ign and Mustard.
YG's first mixtape was released in 2009 onto MySpace, but he was also well known for being in the streets and passing out his mixtape to anyone who would listen. He locked himself in a studio for 6 straight months. His studio was his bedroom at the time, but he locked himself in until he felt like the music was ready. He started to gain some traction with the single Toot and Boot It featuring Ty Dolla $ign. According to YG, the song became a huge hit with the kids in LA, and they all started to jerk to it. Like the dance move, not, you sickos. But kids started posting videos online dancing to the song, gaining it more and more traction. They even labeled YG the king of jerk at one point, a title which he, understandably, chose not to roll with. But to help promote his records, YG would tour around Compton and perform at house parties. His mom would help him book venues, which he would pack out. but sometimes things went left. He said, "There were shootouts going on. I was throwing parties in Compton in Crip neighborhoods. They'd come into the house and start shooting." While leaving one of those parties one night, YG and his friends accidentally shot at each other after a drive-by mix-up. That's a tough type of mix-up, but luckily everything worked out. Things caught up with YG though, as he was sentenced to go to jail at 19 years old after attempted residential burglary charges. And YG was actually in jail while Tooted and Booted started to take off. The song had millions of plays on his MySpace page. Initially, YG didn't even like the song though, but some of hip-hop's finest felt differently. Some of the kids on Snoop Dogg's youth football team were listening to YG's single, and Snoop loved what he heard. So Snoop hopped on a remix version of the song, and 50 Cent loved the song so much that he dropped his remix to the song onto his website. The single was licensed to Def Jam for distribution and reached number 67 on the Billboard charts. 3 months after being released from jail, Def Jam signed YG to a full label deal. But things didn't work out so smoothly from there. He told the LA Times in an interview that there was some trouble finding his direction at Def Jam. "I was in a situation where I was a West Coast artist signed to an East Coast label. When me and Mustard first started putting out big records, they got a lot of recognition on YouTube, but Def Jam didn't know what to do with me because it was a new sound and I was a new artist." Ty Dolla originally produced for YG, but when he left to go focus on his solo artistry, YG didn't have a producer. That's when DJ Mustard stepped in musically, and there began what would become a legendary partnership. But due to label troubles and lack of support, YG worked on his own management and marketing outside of the label. He set up his own tours and spent his own out-of-pocket money shooting music videos, going on radio promo runs, and more. People even called YG a one-hit wonder at the time. Crazy to think based on the amount of hits he has now. Speaking of hits though, random fact, the song R.I.P. by Jeezy was supposed to be a YG song. YG even wrote 3 or 4 verses to the song before passing the beat on to Jeezy, but Jeezy is actually a big reason why the label pushed YG harder. He went to bat for YG and said that this kid is gonna be a star, and he wasn't wrong. YG dropped off mixtapes including Just Read Up and 400 Degrees, keeping his buzz building. He went on tour with Tyga and Mac Miller, rest in peace. Then he did his own tour and dropped Just Read Up 2 with Mustard producing him, and the two seemed like an unstoppable force. And after some massively successful singles, the label saw that it was time for YG to release a full-length studio project. In 2014, YG released his debut album, My Crazy Life, to both critical and commercial success, with many people calling it one of the most complete rap albums of the past decade. It was actually one of my personal favorite albums that year in terms of coming up with a concept and executing while still making great music. And it wasn't just me. That album took YG to a whole new level. The success continued, dropping Blame It on the Streets later that year, and Still Brazy in 2016 featuring Why You Always Hating with Drake. The album also included the song FGT with Nipsey Hussle, and let's just say it caused a little bit of controversy. The Secret Service began investigating YG and told him that he had to censor some of the song's lyrics, as well as other lyrics on the album, but YG was still allowed to drop it and kept the run going with Red Friday and then Stay Dangerous. And YG built himself into one of the best live performers in hip hop. But just as everything seemed to be at its height for YG, one night things took a turn. While recording his album in Studio City, he left to go get some drinks, and when he pulled back up, there was a black truck waiting outside of the studio.
And I see like some outside the truck. I ain't never seen up over there like that, you feel me? They ain't look like they'd be up over there. If they was over there, they'd be over there for me, you feel me?
The car continued to look suspicious, so when one of the guys hopped out of the car, one of YG's friends started asking him what they were doing. The stories weren't adding up and YG's suspicions continued, so YG told the guy that they were gonna go back inside and hang out and that you should leave. But shortly afterwards, there were people at the door knocking and asking to be let in at gunpoint. That's when things got bad, and eventually after running through the doors, shots were fired and YG was hit.
I seen like the hole, like right here, you got like a main artery right here and shit, right? You feel me? So bam. Wow. I see the hole, I'm like, oh shit. I gotta go to the hospital.
And that wasn't even the end of things. They got into an accident on the way to the hospital. Wine spilled everywhere, which made it look like everyone was bleeding.
I thought I was gone. Like when that car accident happened, I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm about to bleed to death. It's a wrap.
All of this happened just 3 weeks after YG's daughter was born. Luckily, he was blessed to see another day. On top of that, he then had to deal with the loss of his good friend and collaborator, Nipsey Hussle. It's still hard to believe that Nipsey is gone, and I know things are probably still really hard for for YG, so prayers go to him and his family. Most recently, YG dropped his newest album, For Real, with the single Go Loco, and there's no questioning that his run in music will continue for as long as he wants it to. All we can be sure of is that YG is the man, and that was actually his first screen name. It was YG the Man. And there you have the answer to the question from the beginning of the video. But as for the rest of this one, you know it because this is Before They Were Famous. I'm Jeremy Hecht. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram at Jeremy_Hecht to let me know who to cover next, or drop a comment down below and I will see you there. Dream good, live better. I hope you have one heck of a day. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video.